So this past year, I went on a journey around the world to finish up a script that I've been working on for a long time. And in that journey, I took a pilgrimage to Scotland. As you could probably tell by my last name, that's where my family is originally from. And on the trip to Scotland, I got to meet some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life, including James Gray, who lives currently on the castle grounds of Dunolly Castle, which is the MacDougall family castle. It's weird to say that. But yeah, so let's give James a call and see what's going on in Oban, Scotland.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. It's a bit rainy here, so apologies. But yeah, it's not. How's it in LA?
It's actually a bit raining today as well. I think maybe it's rainy everywhere in the world.
It's raining in my heart, Colin. It's raining in my heart.
I understand.
So what it's doing? I like your bow tie.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much. I like to wear bow ties on Fridays, so I'm pretending like today's Friday because I have no idea what day of the week it is.
I think it's a Wednesday. I'm not sure. It could be a Monday. I thought actually yesterday we were going to be meeting, actually. I got confused because I thought it was Wednesday yesterday. I was sitting there waiting. I was like, where's Colin?
Oh, no!
But then I realized my own stupid fault, of course. You were perfectly clear. You know, it was down to me. So what's doing, man? You good?
Yeah, everything's going great. I mean, as good as it can be. We're in a place right now in LA where we can't leave the house for the rest of the week, even to go to grocery stores or things like that. So we're just kind of staying at the house.
Sure, well, I'll give you a wee look around anyway. Shall I just change the camera view, shall I, so you can have a look about?
That's perfect.
Well, there we are.
Look at all of the daffodils. That's my favorite flower.
Is it?
It is.
My goodness. So this is the Atlantic. So a couple of 1,000 miles across that ocean, that's where you are. Well, more than, because you're on the different coast. So New York's over there.
Yeah, I can almost see it through the fog.
And there's the mist. Can you see the mist there? So that forest there is actually classed as rainforest. That's an actual fact. It's just been taken over by the Woodland Trust. So you think you've seen daffodils? Here we go. There we are. There's quite a few here. So this is the MacDougall family house, yes, of which you're a part. And there's daffodil circles.
How cool is that?
Planted by aliens many, many years ago, obviously. You know, not like crop circles. So we'll walk up through the garden. It's much, much easier than having a look at my albeit beautiful face. But so that's heading up the fields. That's where all the cows are. The Highland cows, but it's so beautiful around here, even in the rain. Oh, and let me just show you up here. Here's the castle. Can you see the castle up through the trees?
I can, yeah. That's Dunolly Castle.
We'll take you around there. So we're going to head up. I'm not in the UK. There's a TV show called Through the Keyhole. Do you have it in the States?
I don't know, but I kind of want to see it now. What is it about?
So it's basically a guy with a kind of crazy, mixed up mid-Atlantic accent called Lloyd Grossman. It's basically him and another, it's like a panel thing. You have to guess whose house it is that lives there by. So there's all the daffodils there. It's gorgeous. You have to guess whose house it is by just they go through your house basically. And yeah.
I've had the good fortune of being in that house before, and it's quite eccentric. So I bet no one could even guess whose house that was.
No, exactly. Nobody can guess whose house this is. There's some crazy stuff in there.
Yeah. There's even a stuffed pangolin.
That's correct. Yes, that's right.
I actually have now become obsessed with pangolins.
Really? Shall I shift it around? Will I keep it on this view, or will I shift the view around?
No, I actually like being able to see around. It's so nice.
Yeah, sure. That's good.
And then when we get back inside, we'll see your beautiful face.
Yeah, sure, no problem at all. More daffodils. There's the castle up there.
What is it like to live on the grounds of an ancient castle?
It doesn't suck, Colin. How do you think it feels? It's amazing, actually. It's amazing. So here's the castle behind me. Let's go back here. I'll just go back here and see if you can see the castle through here. So you can probably see the castle up behind me there. You see it? There you are. And just there, there's a thing called drone gate. That was basically a drone in a tree. That pilot was me, sadly. Well, getting my skills. It became known as drone gates in these parts. My Phantom 4 Pro, second flight ever. Just bang.
I actually I took a drone to Hawaii with me pretty recently, and I had some friends with me, and they jumped off of this cliff into the ocean. It was like a huge cliff. It's called South Point, and it was gigantic, and I was too scared to jump. But I was like, oh no, I don't want to jump because I want to record everyone jumping off of the cliff. We get finished with the cliff jumping, and it was like the coolest shot ever. And I realized that I hadn't hit record.
This is my driveway here. So I love the fact that we drive in between two trees. It's lovely. I never kind of really noticed it until a friend of mine pointed out like 6 months ago. I was like, oh yeah, that is pretty cool actually. So this is Maiden Island, you can see in the background there. And behind it is the island of Lismore and the Morar Peninsula and the island of Mull. Just there's my last wife.
James, no incriminating evidence on our Skype interview.
So this is my house here. And so this used to be the stables. And now, because I live here, it's unstable. So this is the old Stable Boys cottage. You can see that it's all fenced off because there's supposed to be restoration work happening there at some point if the museum get funding. And so this is not my caravan. This was Robin, who you met. Remember, of course, that's how we met. That's his caravan, the cockpit. And this is my place here. And the stables. Again, they need a bit of work, but it's absolutely beautiful. Even on a day like this, Colin, it's just, I seriously, I love it. I love it here, and there's only one way I'm leaving, and that's in a box. So what I'll do is I'll switch now, and we'll cut to do you want to go to the studio, or you want to go to the live area, which is the living room?
Let's go to where your piano is. I would love you to be on your piano.
Sure thing. Okay, let's do that.
Okay, see you in a second.
Cheers, man. Hey, Colin, I miss you, man.
I know, I miss you too. Slanjava.
Slanjavamaha.
Now that everyone is a little more acquainted with who James Gray is, can you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
My name is James Gray, and I'm, first and foremost, I started off as a composer. And that kind of happened. It was kind of a strange thing, as a teenager, you start to sort of learn things about yourself, and you go through certain things. And I was watching Miami Vice, and Miami Vice of all things, my God, and it was just this perfect sort of mix of vision and music. And I just, oh my God, I know what I am. My whole life, I didn't know what I was. I had this kind of stuff going on in my head. I didn't know what it was. And then I realized it was music. Then I found out it was done by one guy, Jan Hammer. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. He uses computers. My life was never the same after that. And of course, it was before the internet, so I had to research him and find out more about him and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of funny. But I remember sort of telling my parents, and they started crying. They said, why can't you just be gay? I mean, a composer. We could handle it if you were gay, son, but a composer, come on.
Now that we have a little bit of an introduction of who I call you Lord Grey, so who Lord Grey is,
Yes.
can you tell us what the level of quarantine is like due to this COVID pandemic in Oban, Scotland?
So the level at the moment is kind of lockdown, no essential travel. The police will stop you. They have the power to stop you and ask where you're going and ask what you're up to. And if it's a non-essential journey, then you'll be asked to go home. There's no gatherings of more than 2 people allowed. I mean, or you can walk with your family. You know, you're allowed sort of 1 hour exercise a day with your family. And yeah, essential, only go out for essential things like shopping, essential wine.
That's what I keep telling people, is that wine is a lot more important than toilet paper.
No, but quite seriously though, over here there's quite a serious lockdown at the moment. The PM is in hospital. The Prime Minister of the UK, Great Britain, is in hospital with COVID. I think he's pulling through.
I listened to the Queen. What were your thoughts of what the Queen said with her, media coverage?
Okay, so I'm Scottish, and without being political too much, I'm not the biggest fan of the Queen. You know, I'm sure she's a lovely woman and all that, but when a billionaire woman tells us we all must have to pull together and we're all in it together, it kind of doesn't. I know how ironic this sounds because look where I live, but my father was a factory worker his whole life. My mother was a cleaner. Wonderful, wonderful people. Absolutely, and because they're my mum and dad, of course they are. But that's what they were, and they worked hard to make sure that me and my brother and my sister had a living and a chance to do this. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Queen. So I don't really, I don't despise her. Don't think that. I'm also not a big fan of the Prime Minister either. I mean, I'm not sure what the Americans think of the Prime Minister, but we think he's kind of old rich buffoon. It's the old boys club, as it were, the rich English getting together.
America has been following, obviously, really closely through the Brexit of the past couple of years. What are your thoughts being Scottish and being connected to the UK and now being separated from the EU during this time?
It's a funny thing because being part of the European Union is very, very good for a place like Scotland. Now, you've been here, but for the people that haven't been, one of the main industries in the past was fishing. Now the main industry is tourism. And obviously it's an incredibly beautiful place. But, in terms of Brexit, Europe was good for us. And the Scots did not, by and large, want to leave Europe. We wanted to stay. And the Scots also, as you'll probably know, have been fighting for independence, not for just some years, but for centuries. But the campaign has been ongoing more recently. And I happen to kind of want that independence as well. So, imagine being told how to live your life by some rich people, that lived in an entirely different part of the country that have no understanding about you. And that's basically what you get a sense of. And of course, the Celts, the Scottish people as a race, were fiery. You've got a bit of fire in you, McDougall. I've seen the fire. But it's also creativity and an energy. It's also a love. It's a passion that we have, and we are a passionate lot. And, we don't like being told what to do. And we don't like, being told by someone that has no relevance.
I mean, that's how my country was started. It's literally the exact same story of how America came to be, was that there was a small grouping of people who were like, we don't want to be a part of all of these things. And so they moved to the New World and eventually had a war, the only war fought on our soil, in order to get away from these wealthy people who were trying to tell us how to live our lives, and we're very far away.
Yeah, in fact, as well, what happened, I mean, your great grandfather or grandmother or whoever it was, I'm not sure who it was, moved from here probably, this area, and these very grounds, because this is the seat of your family, the Clan MacDougall. We're a feudal society, but we had agreements and all. We had big disagreements as well, but we were a society that worked on clans, and that worked fine. Thanks very much, and so also there was the clearances, the Highland Clearances, way back when, and where basically people were cleared off the land to provide grazing for sheep and animals. So people were worth less than cattle and sheep back in the day.
I actually didn't even know about the Highland Clearings. It's not something we're taught in America until I went to Scotland, and I was emotionally devastated by some of the stories that I heard. Where did they take these people and send them? Where they just, all these farmers, they would like kill the father, take the wife and the children, stick them on boats, and send them where?
So to America, and also to Australia, the new colonies and all that kind of stuff. There is a joke about the UK and sending all its prisoners to Australia, but it's actually not a joke. It's a penal colony. It was, people were sent there, as were the people from Scotland here, to they were promised land and all this kind of stuff, uprooted from their families, torn apart, and yeah, in some cases people killed and all that kind of stuff, and told there would be land over there, only to, for many people to get there and have nothing, and to have hostiles there. I mean, well, hostiles, just the people of the land, the Native Americans, going, who are you guys? No, I'm sorry, but we don't want you here. This is our land, and absolutely, rightly fought for their world, and sadly lost ultimately. But it's kind of crazy, all in the name of progress, or just for rich people to get richer, and it's still going on today, to be honest.
What were your thoughts when COVID-19 first started, when you first heard about it?
Well, my thoughts were, well, there's two thoughts. There's all the kind of rumor mill starts and blah 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 blah, and I read some scientific papers and all that kind of stuff. Now, I am not a big conspiracy theorist, but I find it entertaining, But the thing with conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff is that, or any kind of theory or misinformation, there's a little bit of the truth in there, and there's a lot of conjecture. I read some very interesting papers. Now, obviously, I'm not a genetic scientist or a virologist or anything like that, but you hear things and you read papers from sort of people like the head of the world, or from the World Health Organization, doctors, saying this is a man-made virus. There's two places, one in Chicago and one in Wuhan, that have they worked on this kind of virus together. Wuhan has had outbreaks before of the bird flu, particularly of which this is a strain. And you think, really? But then there's the other thing of like, okay, maybe it's just a virus, and maybe it's super lethal. And to be honest, I didn't think too much about it, because, and I'm very lucky, I'll tell you why. It sounds a strange thing to say, but both my parents are dead. And so I don't have I've been through that kind of trauma and that kind of, and I have a daughter, but she lives with her mother on the other side of town here. So I don't have anyone particularly to worry about necessarily that's in what was thought in the danger group. So I was kind of okay with it. I'm not a big watcher of the news as well. My sister is a nurse. Now, here's an interesting thing. My sister is a nurse in what is now the COVID ward. It's a dedicated COVID ward. And I said, are there things in is the hospital still the same? No, the hospital is completely different. It's in lockdown. They have red zones where only those people like my sister, who is, when she's working, she's the head sister on her shift, as it were, in the COVID ward. And that's when it starts to become very serious. I actually haven't thought seriously about it, and I actually don't. I've avoided it, and I don't want to get teary, but I've avoided the thought of my sister, who I'm very, very close with. She will get it. She will get it because there's no. It's unavoidable, and she's doing that to help other people. And I'm not being funny, Colin, and I'm just a guy that makes music at the end of the day, and I like to pretend, and it's very important. It's not important. I like making people laugh. I enjoy making films and all that kind of stuff. But she's making a difference every day, a very real difference. And I can't express what that means.
Not all heroes wear capes. I mean, a lot of them wear scrubs and grocery uniforms. And, there's a lot. This has really shown us, when people are marked as essential, it is validation for them that they probably haven't gotten in their entire career. So
I've just had an idea about how we could recognize this. And maybe we should all wear our underpants over our trousers.
I will do this.
That's the thing, though. I'd actually love to do that. Instead of the clapping thing outside, which is a lovely gesture. I don't know if you had that in the States, did you? There was a thing on Facebook went around where at 8 p.m. on a certain time and date, the whole nation, I mean, like England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, the UK, went out and sort of gave an applause for the workers that were at risk and all that kind of stuff. And a friend of mine took some video. It's basically her out her window clapping, but you can see the Oban Bay. I'll find a link and try and share it with you. And there's the ferries in the bay, which there's nothing but birds, people clapping in the distance, bagpipes, and the ferries going boom, boom. I was like that. This is quite emotional. And I thought, this is really interesting.
This standing outside on a certain day as a nation to clap for people who are essential, it speaks so much to my heart. Like, I hope that America comes to something like that. We're a huge country with a lot of people. And if we realize that we are doing this together, that's how we're going to get through this.
Like any large country with large cities, obviously Washington's the capital of the states and all that kind of stuff. Bing! Geography 101 there. But it's like London. If you go to London and think that's what the rest of the UK is like, it's completely not that. So in the States, there's places like Nebraska or Ohio or different kind of places, that different kinds of people and all that kind of stuff. But good leadership is good leadership, and I think out of this, what people need to understand or maybe realize is that we're all the same. We're all the same. Red blood, doesn't matter the color of the skin or any of that kind of business. We're all faced with the same thing. You'll get some people that kind of deny the whole thing, like you say. But these are people that are probably not inclined to kind of think about other people anyway, and you see the best and worst in people at times like these. And it's really interesting. Sadly, in the UK, I'm not sure whether there was any food shortages or any kind of sort of bulk buying in the supermarkets or the big malls that you have there. But I was, even in my own town, I was saddened to see, people going in and just buying loads and loads of stuff, filling their trolleys, toilet roll, ridiculously. And I was just like shocked, but people panic buying and all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of crazy when stuff starts to get real or there's a situation. You see the measure of people. If you get an old person that's horrible, chances are they were a horrible young person as well. They're just not a nice person. It's not that age has turned them or any of that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, yeah, we're seeing the best and the worst in people, and it's probably going to get even worse before it gets better. I think humans are the worst thing to ever happen to this planet, and we're a cancer. We really are. There's, if you look at what's happened to the world since we've stopped polluting it, Now, Venice is a place that I know you know very well, and look at what's happening over there. And look at the birds and the migration patterns and all the things that are coming back after just things stopping. What I would hope is that people would basically take a telling and see what was wrong before and be able to change things and keep maybe some of this stuff that's going on right now is absolutely wonderful. Now, because I'm artistic, so technically a lot of my friends' businesses ended overnight because they're touring musicians, they're sound engineers, they're roadies, they're out on the road, or they're putting on entertainments. That stuff's ended overnight. No mass gatherings, all that kind of stuff. And every one of us is self-employed. I'm self-employed. I've got some regular client work that I'm very, very fortunate to have, so I'm not panicked, by that. And it still happens because I work by myself all the time. In truth, my world has not changed. But can you imagine living in a flat with 5 children, as a friend of mine does? He's got 5 kids and his wife. All of whom are lovely, of course, but you're in a small flat, piled on top of each other. Hopefully we'll take the lessons of this. We'll take the lessons of this. And, if we look at things like climate change and the government targets towards climate change, everyone was saying, oh, yeah, well, first of all, no such thing as global warming. Whether there is or not, let's not debate that, blah, blah, blah. It's quite obvious, though. But it's going to take 15 years to get to this percentage here, or 30 years. This is our target, blah, blah, blah. We can't stop planes flying. This is just impossible. We can't shut factories. We can't do this. This is impossible. Blah, blah. It's taken this and 3 weeks now. So we can do this. It takes something like this to do it. And hopefully, there's a lot of people that are enjoying lockdown. They really are. I'm sure it's difficult for a lot of people, but I can only talk for myself. And I apologize for not being aware of a lot of other people's situations. And some people have it incredibly difficult. And I know that, some of whom are my friends, and I wish I could do something for them. And it frustrates me. I can't. But if we could learn the lessons of kindness, and always being nice to people, and always making sure that we always look out for each other or be kind to each other as much as we possibly can. And it's the small things in life. A lot of those make up very kind things. Like the gardeners here the other day, her husband's quite ill with COPD and all that kind of stuff. And he's quite elderly, so he's a really dangerous group. So, going to pick up people's prescriptions or just saying, hey, do you want anything from the shop? That's literally a lifeline to people. And so people need to start doing that, I think, or should be doing that. And, in many ways, I was telling a friend of mine, I was on Skype just before you, that this lockdown, whilst we're more isolated socially, we're more together than ever now, because we have to, every time we interact with someone, it's meaningful, We can look at each other in the eyes and we say, this is what conversation is. You're important. We can only speak to each other from a such no, but I want to be with you. I'd love to give you a hug. I miss you. Conversation has become very real all of a sudden, So hopefully that's what we'll take from that as well. I am not sort of a great orator or someone that can speak for the world. I can only speak for myself. But I think it's important that you look at yourself and what type of person you want to be or what type of person you are. Because it has to be from inside. Because that's the only way you can sort of change the world, is from inside. Start with yourself and with what you mean. And if you can do something nice or be kinder to someone or help out in some way, then do it.
Love is something that is eternal. Kindness is something that is beyond language. You don't have to know how to speak in someone's native tongue in order to show them kindness or love.
Being a composer, being a musician, piano player, I get to express that in a way, and without words, because I'm not, I tend not to write lyrics or anything like that kind of stuff. But I try and get emotions across that are always honest or beautiful. And the world to me is beauty, you know what I mean? And to try to express that through what you do in the kindest possible way you can. It's not always easy. Sometimes you don't feel great yourself, but these are the times that you have to make an effort to try.
While I was there the last time, or the first time when I met you, you created for me a gorgeous little melody that I took with me and I still listen to quite frequently. It was one of the best gifts I've ever been given. So why don't you, take a few minutes, and then do you think you might be able to just see what comes out of you based on this conversation musically?
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll take a couple of minutes and get set up at your piano, and we'll move the camera or the phone and get set up. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, see you in a minute.
James, you are now at your piano, and like I said, you are incredible at encapsulating emotion. And so I would love for you to just play something from your heart that could go out to people who are currently social distanced or in isolation. Just anything that you feel that you want to get across to them.
I'm not sure if you've ever heard this or not. You do the wrong note, so like, and you think, oh, that's a mistake, but you just repeat it. Then, and it becomes a thing. Sometimes we all make mistakes, but as long as we don't repeat too much of them, I think. But in music, at least you can try and recover it a little bit, and it's jazz.
Yeah, it's got some swagger. That last note was so hopeful. I'm hopeful too. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Colin. It's been so lovely to talk to you.
I don't know if you can see it, but this right here that's a painting of Denali. So I think of you guys every day. Every time I walk through that archway, I think of you guys. So, stay strong, and hopefully I get back to see you very soon.
It's good to be in people's hearts, isn't it? And it's good to be thinking of people and to also let them know that you're thinking of them. It's also a really good thing to do, is to let them know that you care about them. And, everyone's in the same boat for once, for the first time ever, Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, chances are you're in real peril here. So you better be nice, and try and be nice for other people as well, and keep it. But big love, man. Love you.